before rockets launched into space, before black holes were more than whispers in the dark, before time and space became a playground of imagination. There was a mind bold enough to rethink the fabric of reality itself. His name was Albert Einstein, the man behind the world's most famous equation, the thinker who dared to bend time and reveal the energy hidden within matter, the rebel genius who saw order in chaos, the man who turned chalk on a blackboard into a window to the cosmos. This is not just the story of equations and theories. This is the story of a restless spirit, of questions that refused to be silenced, of a life devoted to unlocking the secrets of the universe. This is the story of Albert Einstein, the man behind E equals mc². The birth of a curious mind. Before the world knew his name, before the equation changed history, there was a curious boy staring at a compass, wondering why the needle always pointed north. Albert Einstein was born in 1879 in Ulm, Germany. From the very beginning, he was different, quiet, thoughtful, obsessed with invisible forces that moved the world. As a child, he was fascinated by the mysteries around him. Not the answers in textbooks, but the questions no one seemed to ask. When he held a compass for the first time, he felt something stir inside him, an invisible force pulling the needle. But more than that, pulling his imagination. What was this force? Where did it come from? This moment sparked a lifelong journey, the journey of a boy determined to uncover the hidden patterns of the universe. The rebel student. They called him slow. They called him distracted. They said he would never amount to anything. But young Albert Einstein was not slow. He was simply thinking at a depth the world around him could not yet understand. Albert Einstein's early school years were not marked by praise. Far from it. In the strict, memorization-driven classrooms of Germany, obedience was rewarded more than curiosity. Teachers demanded facts and formulas repeated without question. They expected silent compliance. Albert gave them neither. While other children recited lessons, Albert's mind drifted to deeper puzzles. Why did light travel the way it did? What was time, really? Why did the universe follow rules? And who had written them? To his instructors, this curiosity was defiance. To Albert, it was survival. Schooling against the grain. Einstein attended the Luitpold Gymnasium in Munich, a school that prized discipline over imagination. There he clashed constantly with his teachers. They mistook his quiet thinking for disrespect. They mistook his questions for rebellion. One teacher even told him, "You will never amount to anything." But Einstein was not deterred. If anything, such scorn only deepened his determination to think for himself. Even in these early days, he sensed a truth he would later articulate to the world. Blind obedience is the enemy of discovery. A hunger for self-education. What the classroom lacked, Einstein sought elsewhere. At home, he devoured scientific books well beyond his grade level. He read works on physics and mathematics late into the night, often by candlelight. He explored geometry with a sense of wonder usually reserved for great works of art. When he first encountered Euclid's geometry, he called it the Holy Geometry Book. While his classmates struggled with basic arithmetic, Einstein taught himself calculus by the age of 12. Not because it was assigned, but because it was beautiful. For Albert, mathematics was not a chore. It was a language of the universe, a way to speak to the hidden order behind all things. He wasn't chasing grades, he was chasing truth. The turning point. Rebellion becomes resolution. Einstein's growing discomfort with authority eventually reached a boiling point. Germany's educational system felt like a cage, and Albert longed to escape. At 16, with quiet defiance, he left the gymnasium without a diploma. It was a bold move, one that could have ended his academic future. But Einstein had no intention of giving up. He sought new horizons, freer thinking, a place where curiosity was not punished but celebrated. He found it in Switzerland, at the Polytechnic in Zurich. There, the environment was less rigid. There, Albert began to flourish. His professors still sometimes found him distracted, his mind wandering too far ahead of the lecture. But something had changed. Now, he was in a place where thought was not a crime. He met kindred spirits, fellow thinkers, future collaborators. At last, Albert Einstein could begin to build the foundation of the theories that would one day change the world. A mind in motion. Even during these formative years, Einstein's mind was already moving at light speed. He pondered what it would be like to ride alongside a beam of light. Would the wave freeze, suspended in space? Would time itself behave differently? These were not idle thoughts. They were the seeds of ideas that would later bloom into his theories of relativity. While others memorized the past, Einstein imagined the future. While others saw formulas as answers, he saw them as doorways. Doorways to a universe few dared to enter. Lessons beyond the classroom. Perhaps the most important lessons Einstein learned during this period came not from professors, but from life itself. He learned that curiosity could survive ridicule, that questions could outlive the scorn of teachers, that an independent mind, though often lonely, is the wellspring of all true innovation. Most of all, he learned to trust himself, to trust the quiet voice inside that urged him to keep questioning, to keep imagining, no matter how many times the world told him to stop. This inner resolve would serve him well in the years to come, as he faced skepticism, criticism, and even exile. Because even when the world doubted him, Einstein never doubted the power of wonder. The patent clerk's breakthrough. Behind an ordinary desk, in an ordinary office, sat an extraordinary mind. Albert Einstein, unknown to the world, was about to spark a scientific revolution. After leaving the Polytechnic in Zurich, Einstein struggled to find academic work. He applied for teaching positions. He wrote to professors. But his rebellious spirit and unconventional thinking made institutions wary. He was too bold, too curious, too different. Doors that should have opened stayed tightly shut. Finally, through a friend's recommendation, Einstein found work at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. It was not a glamorous job, but it was steady. And more importantly, it gave him what he needed most: time to think. The Patent Office Laboratory. At the Patent Office, Einstein examined the inventions of others. He evaluated technical drawings, descriptions of machinery, and endless applications for electrical devices. It was mundane, repetitive work. But between the stacks of paperwork, his mind wandered freely. The office became his quiet laboratory. Without the burden of academic expectations, he could explore ideas that traditional scientists dismissed. He used his imagination as his primary tool. His thoughts danced between concepts of time, motion, energy, and light. He asked himself wild questions. What would it feel like to chase a beam of light? What happens to time as you approach the speed of light? Can energy and mass be two sides of the same coin? No laboratory in the world could answer these questions. But Einstein's mind could. The miracle year. Then came 1905, the year that would forever be known as Einstein's Annus Mirabilis, his miracle year. In the span of just 12 months, while working full-time at the Patent Office, Einstein published 4 groundbreaking scientific papers. Each of them alone could have secured his place in history. Together, they reshaped our understanding of the universe. First, he explained the photoelectric effect, showing how light behaves like a stream of particles, not just waves. This discovery later became the foundation for quantum mechanics. Second, he presented his paper on Brownian motion, providing evidence for the existence of atoms and molecules. Third, he introduced the special theory of relativity, which revealed that the laws of physics are the same for all non-accelerating observers, and that the speed of light is constant, no matter how fast you are moving. And fourth, he unveiled the most famous equation in history, E equals mc². Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. A simple equation with profound meaning. It revealed that mass and energy are interchangeable, that even the tiniest amount of mass contains enormous energy. The atomic age began with the stroke of Einstein's pen. From clerk to genius, Einstein, the obscure patent clerk, had cracked open the door to the inner workings of the universe. He had done it not in a grand laboratory, nor with expensive equipment, but with sheer intellect and unyielding curiosity. He proved that you do not need prestige to pursue great ideas. You only need the courage to think differently. Einstein showed the world that imagination is not a distraction from science. It is the heart of it. He later wrote, "Imagination is more important than knowledge. For knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world." His miracle year elevated him from anonymity to the forefront of theoretical physics. Yet even as the world began to take notice, Einstein remained humble. He continued working at the patent office for several more years. He continued to think, to question, to explore ideas that defied time. The special theory of relativity did more than just challenge old ideas. It redefined our relationship with time itself. According to Einstein, time is not a universal constant. It is relative. It stretches and compresses depending on speed and gravity. Clocks moving at different speeds tick at different rates. Events that seem simultaneous in one frame of reference may not be so in another. It was a radical idea, one that many scientists found hard to accept. But Einstein's math was undeniable, and soon, so was the experimental evidence. His bold thinking had turned the invisible gears of the cosmos into a visible, understandable machine. Legacy of the patent clerk. Einstein's time at the patent office ended, but the ideas he forged there traveled far beyond those modest walls. They traveled into universities, laboratories, and eventually into the very fabric of modern science. The world would never be the same. He had shown us that the ordinary can become extraordinary, that genius can flourish in the most unexpected places, and that even from behind the desk of a patent clerk, it is possible to change the world. Revolutionizing science. What began as thought experiments in a quiet office had now erupted into a revolution. Albert Einstein was no longer just a thinker. He had become an architect of a new universe. Challenging the foundations. For centuries, Isaac Newton's laws had ruled science with an iron grip. Space and time were absolutes. Gravity was an invisible force acting at a distance. The universe was predictable, logical, and comfortably mechanical. But Einstein saw cracks in this classical view. He asked questions no one dared to voice. What if space and time were not fixed? What if gravity was not a force, but something deeper? What if the universe itself was stranger and more fluid than we ever imagined? His questions led to answers that would redefine reality. The birth of general relativity. Einstein's earlier work on special relativity had shown that space and time were interconnected, but it only applied to objects moving at constant speeds. He wanted more. He wanted to understand acceleration, gravity, and the very structure of the cosmos. For nearly a decade, he wrestled with these ideas. Late nights, endless calculations, failures, and frustrations. But Einstein was relentless. In 1915, he presented his general theory of relativity to the Prussian Academy of Sciences. It was a masterpiece, a revolutionary idea. Einstein proposed that massive objects like the sun bend the very fabric of space and time. Planets, instead of being pulled by an invisible force, simply followed the curves of this warped space-time. Gravity was geometry, elegant, beautiful, profound. Einstein had not just rewritten the laws of physics. He had reimagined the very blueprint of the universe. Proof from the stars, The world was fascinated by Einstein's theory, but they needed proof. That proof came in 1919 during a solar eclipse. British astronomer Sir Arthur Eddington led an expedition to observe the stars near the sun. According to Einstein's predictions, the sun's gravity would bend the light from distant stars, shifting their apparent positions. And that is exactly what happened. The measurements confirmed Einstein's calculations. When the news broke, headlines around the world hailed Einstein as a genius. The light bends, they proclaimed. Einstein's theory triumphs. Overnight, he became a global celebrity. But more importantly, science itself had crossed a new frontier. The universe was no longer a static clockwork machine. It was alive, dynamic, curved, and expanding. Einstein had shown us a cosmos full of movement and mystery. Unlocking the universe. Einstein's theories did more than explain the behavior of stars and planets. They unlocked new questions about the very origins of the universe. If space could bend, could it also expand? If gravity could warp time, what did that mean for the beginning and end of everything? Einstein's equations hinted at a dynamic universe, one that could be growing or contracting. Though Einstein himself was hesitant at first, later discoveries would confirm these astonishing possibilities. His work laid the groundwork for the Big Bang theory, for the discovery of black holes, for our understanding of gravitational waves. Einstein had not just solved old mysteries, he had opened the door to countless new ones. The humble revolutionary. Despite his fame, Einstein remained remarkably humble. He knew that no theory, no matter how beautiful, was ever complete. He welcomed criticism. He encouraged debate. He understood that science is not about final answers, but about the never-ending pursuit of truth. He once said, "The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence." Even as the world celebrated him, Einstein saw himself not as a master of the universe, but as its eternal student. He marveled at the complexity of nature. He stood in awe of the cosmic order. His theories changed our understanding of reality, but his spirit reminded us to remain humble before the grandeur of the unknown. A legacy of wonder. Einstein's revolution extended far beyond physics. His ideas reshaped philosophy, technology, and our very worldview. GPS systems today rely on Einstein's corrections for the effects of relativity. Without his insights, our satellites would drift off course. Our understanding of time, space, and energy all trace back to his equations. But perhaps his greatest legacy is the culture of wonder he inspired. He taught us to question the familiar, to challenge authority, to see beyond what our eyes can perceive, to imagine realities we cannot yet reach. Because of Einstein, we look at the stars with deeper understanding. Because of Einstein, we understand that time is not fixed, that space is not flat, and that the universe itself is a moving, breathing wonder. His revolution was not just of science, it was a revolution of the human spirit. Fame, challenges, and the Nobel Prize. The quiet thinker, once dismissed by teachers and ignored by universities, had become a global icon. But even as fame embraced him, Albert Einstein remained focused on a single mission: the endless pursuit of truth. A reluctant celebrity. After the solar eclipse of 1919 confirmed his theory of general relativity, Einstein's name soared across continents. Newspapers worldwide printed his face alongside headlines like "Revolution in Science," "Lights all askew in the heavens." He was hailed as the Newton of the 20th century. Suddenly, invitations flooded in. Lectures, honorary degrees, international conferences. His image, the wild hair, the thoughtful eyes, became the very symbol of genius. But Einstein, ever modest, viewed fame with skepticism. He joked, "To punish me for my contempt for authority, fate made me an authority myself." Crowds gathered wherever he went, hoping for a glimpse of the man who had rewritten the laws of the universe. Yet behind the public adoration, Einstein's heart remained anchored in the quiet world of ideas. He never sought celebrity. He sought understanding. The Nobel Prize at last. Despite the worldwide celebration of his theories of relativity, the Nobel Committee hesitated. Relativity was bold, perhaps too bold. Some scientists were still skeptical of its implications. Instead, the committee chose a safer path. In 1921, they awarded Einstein the Nobel Prize in Physics. But not for relativity. The prize honored his explanation of the photoelectric effect. In this groundbreaking work, Einstein had shown that light behaves not only as a wave, but also as particles, what we now call photons. This discovery opened the door to the strange world of quantum mechanics. Ironically, Einstein had once doubted the quantum world. Yet his own work became one of its cornerstones. He graciously accepted the award. But he knew that recognition was not the measure of truth. It was the quiet satisfaction of discovery that mattered most to him. Quantum discomfort. As quantum mechanics blossomed in the scientific community, Einstein watched with curiosity and concern. The new theories embraced randomness and probability. Particles could exist in multiple states at once. Outcomes were not determined until observed. To Einstein, this was unsettling. He believed in an orderly universe, governed by elegant deterministic laws. God does not play dice with the universe, he famously remarked. Einstein respected the brilliance of quantum theory, but he could not accept a world ruled by chance. So he pushed back. He engaged in spirited debates with leading quantum physicists, like Niels Bohr. Their discussions, respectful yet intense, shaped the very direction of modern physics. Einstein did not oppose progress. He simply believed there was a deeper order still waiting to be discovered. Beyond the lab, a voice for justice. As Einstein's fame grew, so did his platform. He used it not just to advance science, but to advocate for humanity. He spoke out against nationalism and militarism. He championed civil rights. He condemned racism and injustice wherever he saw it. Peace cannot be kept by force, he declared. It can only be achieved by understanding. Einstein became more than a scientist. He became a moral voice for his generation, a symbol of intellectual freedom and ethical responsibility. Even in the midst of accolades, he never lost sight of the greater purpose of knowledge, to serve humanity. The man behind the genius. Away from the public eye, Einstein lived a simple, reflective life. He walked slowly to his office, hands clasped behind his back, lost in thought. He cherished playing the violin, finding music to be a companion to his scientific imagination. He enjoyed quiet conversations with close friends, musing about philosophy, art, and the mysteries of existence. To many, he was the embodiment of genius. To himself, he remained a curious student of the universe. No matter how far he advanced, Einstein never claimed to have all the answers. He once said, "The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know." This humility, paired with relentless curiosity, was the true essence of his brilliance. Legacy in motion. Einstein's Nobel Prize marked not an end, but a beginning. It opened doors for deeper research, for bold theories, for new generations of scientists inspired by his fearless curiosity. His work on relativity and quantum mechanics became the bedrock of modern physics. His questions about the universe continue to echo in the minds of scientists today, and his unwavering pursuit of truth remains a guiding light for all who dare to challenge the limits of knowledge. Exile in conscience. As the world celebrated Einstein's genius, dark clouds gathered over Europe. The rise of hatred and division forced him to make a choice: to protect his life and to protect his voice. The rise of darkness. In the early 1930s, Germany was changing. What once was a hub of intellectual freedom and scientific discovery began to twist under the weight of hatred and fear. The Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler, spread its poisonous ideology across the nation. They declared war not just on political enemies, but on ideas themselves. On curiosity, on free thought, on people like Albert Einstein. As a Jewish scientist, Einstein found himself a target. His theories were labeled as Jewish physics. His work was dismissed by Nazi loyalists. Threats filled his mailbox. Enemies defaced his image. They called for his death. He knew it was no longer safe. Germany, the country of his birth, had turned against him. And so, with a heavy heart, Einstein made the painful decision to leave his homeland behind. A new home in America. Einstein found refuge in the United States, accepting a position at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. There, in the quiet halls of academia, he continued his relentless pursuit of understanding. But he did not retreat into silence. He raised his voice louder than ever. Einstein condemned the rising tide of fascism. He warned the world of the dangers of tyranny. He saw clearly what many wished to ignore. The world is in greater peril, he said, from those who tolerate evil than from those who commit it. His words carried weight. His fame, once a personal burden, had become a weapon against oppression. Einstein used it boldly. The shadow of the atom. As war loomed, a new threat emerged, one born from the very science Einstein had helped to unlock. Nuclear fission. The splitting of atoms promised unimaginable power and unimaginable destruction. Einstein, horrified by the potential for catastrophe, felt a moral responsibility to act. In 1939, he co-signed a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, urging the United States to accelerate its atomic research. He feared that Nazi Germany might build a nuclear weapon first. This letter helped spark the creation of the Manhattan Project. Yet even as the project advanced, Einstein was kept at arm's length. Ironically, the man whose equation, E = mc², laid the theoretical foundation for atomic energy, was not invited to work on the bomb. Perhaps they feared his outspoken views. Perhaps they knew his conscience would protest. And protest he did. When the bombs fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Einstein felt profound sorrow. He declared, "The unleashed power of the atom has changed everything, save our modes of thinking, and thus we drift toward unparalleled catastrophe." Einstein, the scientist, had given the world the tools of immense power. Einstein, the humanist, pleaded for wisdom in their use. A voice for peace. In the aftermath of the war, Einstein dedicated himself to peace. He became a passionate advocate for global disarmament. He warned against the dangers of a nuclear arms race. He called for a world government, believing that only unity could prevent future destruction. Peace, he said, cannot be achieved through violence. It can only be attained through understanding. He joined civil rights movements. He spoke against racial segregation in America. He stood beside those fighting for justice, regardless of nationality or color. Einstein's science had made him famous, but it was his conscience that made him a true leader. He believed that knowledge must always serve humanity. That power must always be guided by responsibility. The weight of conscience. In his later years, Einstein reflected deeply on his role in history. He wrestled with regret over his involvement in the atomic age. He questioned whether the pursuit of knowledge could ever be separated from its consequences. But even in this reflection, he never lost hope. He believed in the power of human reason. He believed in the goodness of people. He believed that, with wisdom, humanity could rise above its darkest impulses. His conscience remained his compass until the very end. A symbol of moral courage. Einstein's life in exile was not marked by bitterness, but by purpose. He transformed personal loss into global advocacy. He turned exile into a platform. He used his fame not for comfort, but for change. He reminded the world that science at its best serves not destruction, but progress. Not division, but unity. Not fear, but hope. Albert Einstein's exile became a testament to the enduring power of conscience. He showed us that even in the face of hatred and war, the human spirit can remain unbroken. The eternal legacy. Even after his voice fell silent, Albert Einstein's ideas continued to echo across the universe. Through the atoms of our bodies, through the orbits of our satellites, through the imagination of every mind daring to ask, what if? The passing of a legend. On April 18, 1950, Albert Einstein passed away in Princeton, New Jersey. He was 76 years old. As news of his death spread, the world paused. Not just to mourn the passing of a great scientist, but to reflect on the legacy of a man who had forever changed the way humanity sees itself in the cosmos. Einstein's body may have succumbed to time, but his ideas, timeless and unbound, continued to move at the speed of light. His brain, carefully studied by researchers, revealed no secrets of genius, because the real brilliance of Einstein did not reside in the structure of his brain. It resided in the freedom of his thoughts, in the courage of his questions, in the endless fire of his curiosity. The physics that changed the world. Einstein's theories reshaped the pillars of physics. Today, his ideas are not confined to blackboards or textbooks. They live in the technology we use every day. Our GPS systems, which guide us across cities and continents, rely on Einstein's corrections for time dilation, the way time bends in motion and under gravity. The bending of starlight by gravity helps us understand distant galaxies. Gravitational waves, predicted by Einstein, were finally detected a century later, ripples in the fabric of space-time itself. His theories continue to open new windows to the universe, from the study of black holes to the expansion of the cosmos. Einstein taught us that the universe is not static. It is alive. It is moving, and it invites us to move with it. Beyond science, the philosopher of humanity. Einstein's influence extends far beyond laboratories and observatories. He became a philosopher of life, a voice of conscience in a turbulent century. He believed in peace over conflict, in unity over division, in the shared destiny of all people. He once said, "A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space." But he urged us to transcend our limitations, to widen our compassion, to think not just of ourselves, but of all humankind. Einstein's letters, essays, and public speeches reveal a man deeply concerned with justice, with equality, with the ethical use of knowledge. He showed us that the true measure of intelligence is not power, but purpose, not fame, but responsibility. An icon for generations. Einstein's image has become universal. His wild hair, his warm, thoughtful gaze, the playful photograph of him sticking out his tongue, a symbol of the joyful rebel, the thinker unafraid to challenge convention. But beneath the icon is the enduring spirit of inquiry. Einstein reminds us that genius is not about having all the answers. It is about never stopping the questions. It is about seeing wonder in the ordinary, about looking at a simple compass as a child and imagining the invisible forces that shape our world. His story inspires not because he was perfect, but because he was passionately human. Flawed, curious, fearless, always reaching beyond. A legacy that lives on. Albert Einstein's name is etched in history, in the halls of science, in the conversations of classrooms, in the dreams of young minds staring up at the stars. But his true legacy lives not in his fame, but in his invitation to us all, to wonder, to question, to imagine the impossible. Because Einstein did more than explain the universe. He made us feel part of it. He made the stars feel closer. He made the mysteries of space and time feel like puzzles we are all invited to solve. His legacy teaches us that the universe is not beyond our reach. It is within our grasp. It is in our questions. It is in our courage. It is in the restless spirit that dares to say, What if? Conclusion. The endless journey. Albert Einstein's journey ended in Princeton, but our journey, inspired by him, continues. We carry forward the torch he lit. We explore deeper into the fabric of space. We listen to the whispers of gravitational waves. We dream of galaxies yet unseen, and we remember his words. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Because of Einstein, we know that time bends, light travels, and the universe sings a song of endless wonder. Because of Einstein, we know that our greatest tool is not what we already know. It is the courage to explore what we do not. The universe moves. It always moves, and so must we. Conclusion. Einstein's light across time. Albert Einstein left the world more than just equations. He left a way of thinking, a way of seeing the invisible, a way of questioning everything we take for granted. From the curvature of space to the heartbeat of atoms, Einstein reshaped our understanding of the universe. But his true legacy is not locked in textbooks. It lives in the curiosity of every mind that wonders, what lies beyond? It lives in the courage to follow the questions, no matter how strange the answers may seem. Einstein taught us that imagination is as important as knowledge, that the universe speaks in the language of wonder, and that behind every mystery, there is a truth waiting to be found. Because of Einstein, we know that time and space are not barriers. They are invitations. So keep looking up, keep asking, keep imagining, because the universe is waiting. And as Einstein showed us, it moves not just in space, it moves in us.